Tonight, I want to begin with a question that may unsettle you a little. What if your greatest power is not in what you reveal, but in what you refuse to expose? We live in a time where everything is shared, our meals, our moods, our milestones, yet the most valuable treasures of our lives are not meant for public display. Some blessings lose their strength when spoken too soon. Some dreams wither under too many opinions. There is a quiet authority in a person who knows when to speak and when to remain still. Today, I invite you to discover a wisdom that is rarely taught but deeply powerful, the art of keeping certain things sacred, protected, and secret. There is a strength in silence that many people misunderstand. Silence is not emptiness, and it is not weakness. It is restraint, it is discipline. It is the quiet confidence of someone who does not feel the need to perform their life for approval. In a world that rewards noise, silence feels unfamiliar, yet the strongest foundations are built without applause. A building under construction is surrounded by barriers for a reason. Growth requires protection. When you learn to be silent about certain things, you create space for them to mature without interference. Not everything in your life needs an audience. Some people will clap for you, yes, but others will question you, doubt you, or secretly hope you fail. When you speak too soon about your plans, you invite opinions before you've built resilience. You expose something fragile to winds it is not yet strong enough to withstand. A seed does not break the soil the same day it is planted. It stays hidden, working in darkness, forming roots before it ever shows a leaf. That hidden work is not wasted time, it is preparation. Silence protects your energy. Every time you explain yourself unnecessarily, you drain strength that could be used to move forward. When you argue about your vision, you spend time defending instead of developing. There is power in letting people misunderstand you while you stay focused. You do not have to correct every assumption. You do not have to respond to every comment. Sometimes the most powerful response is progress. Silence also sharpens awareness. When you speak less, you observe more. You begin to notice intentions. You recognize who truly supports you and who simply enjoys being informed. When you stop announcing every move, you see who checks on you without updates. You learn who values you beyond convenience. Silence reveals truth in others. Most importantly, silence builds inner confidence. When you stop seeking validation for every step, you start trusting your own judgment. You begin to move because you believe in your direction, not because others approved it. That kind of confidence cannot be shaken easily. It is rooted deeply. It does not depend on applause to survive. There will be moments when you feel the urge to share everything, to prove, to impress, to explain. Pause in those moments. Ask yourself if speaking serves your growth or only your ego. Not every achievement needs announcement. Not every struggle needs exposure. Some victories are sweeter when they are unveiled after the work is done. Silence does not mean isolation. It means intention. It means choosing carefully what deserves a voice and what deserves protection. When you master silence, you move differently. You move with focus. You move with purpose. And when your results finally speak, they will say more than words ever could. Dreams are delicate in their earliest stages. They may look bold in your imagination, but in reality they are tender, still forming, still learning how to stand. When you speak them too freely, you expose them to minds that do not see what you see. Not everyone has the capacity to understand a vision that was given only to you. Some people hear your dream and immediately measure it against their own fears, their own limitations, their own unfinished attempts, and if you are not careful, their doubt can begin to sound like your own inner voice. There is a difference between seeking counsel and seeking validation. Counsel strengthens, validation weakens when you depend on it. When you protect your dreams, you are not being secretive out of fear. You are being wise. You are allowing your idea to develop roots before it faces the winds of opinion. A tree with deep roots can withstand storms but a seedling can be crushed by a careless step. In the same way, your dream must grow strong within you before it is presented to the world. Some people will water your vision. They will listen without judgment. They will ask questions that stretch your thinking without shrinking your confidence. They will remind you of your capability when you forget. These are the voices you keep close. They do not compete with your dream. They contribute to it. They celebrate your growth without feeling threatened by it. Such people are rare, and that rarity is exactly why your dream should not be shared carelessly. When you protect your dream, you also protect your energy. Every time you explain your goal to someone who does not believe in it, you feel the need to defend it. You start proving instead of building. You start talking instead of working. Slowly, the excitement that once fueled you begins to drain. But when you keep your vision guarded, your energy remains focused on action. You spend your time developing skills, making plans, and taking steps forward instead of convincing others that your path is valid. There is also something sacred about a dream that grows quietly. It becomes personal. It becomes a promise between you and your future. In that quiet space, your confidence matures. You begin to rely less on applause and more on discipline. You stop needing people to agree with your vision before you pursue it. That independence strengthens your character in ways public praise never could. And when the time is right, when your dream has taken shape and results begin to appear, you will not need a long explanation. The work will speak. The growth will be visible. The transformation will answer questions you never had to argue about. Protecting your dream does not limit its power. It multiplies it. What you guard carefully has a greater chance to flourish fully. There is something powerful about a person who moves without announcing their direction. They do not feel the need to broadcast every plan or preview every intention. They understand that preparation is most effective in privacy. When you reveal your next move too early, you invite distraction. You invite comparison. You invite unnecessary commentary from people who may not even be walking your path. Quiet movement protects your focus. When you keep your next step private, you give yourself room to adjust. Plans evolve, strategies improve, ideas sharpen with time and experience. But when you announce them too soon, you may feel pressured to follow through exactly as stated, even when wisdom suggests a change. Silence gives you flexibility. It allows you to refine your direction without public expectation weighing on your shoulders. Growth is rarely linear, and privacy allows it to unfold naturally. There is also a deeper strength in working without applause. When no one is watching, your discipline becomes genuine. You wake up early, not because people expect a result, but because you are committed. You practice not for praise, but for progress. That kind of work builds character. It builds resilience. It teaches you how to rely on your own standards instead of outside validation. And when success finally appears, it stands on a foundation that is solid and earned. Moving quietly also protects you from unnecessary resistance. Not everyone celebrates your ambition. Some people feel uncomfortable when they sense you are growing beyond familiar limits. If they know your next move, they may consciously or unconsciously attempt to discourage you. They might question your readiness or remind you of past mistakes. When you stay silent, you remove opportunities for doubt to enter your mind. You deny negativity a seat at your planning table. There is confidence in letting results introduce you. When people suddenly see your progress, your improvement, your achievement, it carries more weight than any announcement ever could. It shows consistency. It shows effort. It shows that you were working long before anyone noticed. Surprise can be powerful. It shifts perception. It commands respect without demanding attention. Silence while preparing does not mean secrecy rooted in fear. It means intention rooted in wisdom. It means understanding that not every chapter needs a preview. Some victories are more meaningful when they arrive fully formed. Some transformations are stronger when they happen away from noise. When you learn to keep your next move private, you protect your momentum. You focus on execution instead of explanation. You move steadily instead of loudly. And when the time comes, your success will speak in ways that words never could. There is beauty in vulnerability, but there is also wisdom in discernment. Not every heart is safe enough to hold your fragile truths. The world can be kind, yes, but it can also be careless. When you expose your weaknesses to the wrong people, you may find that what was meant to be understood becomes misunderstood. What was meant to be supported becomes judged. Guarding your weaknesses is not about pretending to be strong all the time. It is about choosing carefully where you lay down your armor. Every person carries tender places within them. Fears they are still overcoming, insecurities they are still healing, doubts they are still learning to silence. These are not flaws. They are human, but they are also powerful. In the wrong hands, your vulnerability can become a point of manipulation. Some people listen not to understand you, but to store information for later use. They may remind you of your weakest moments when you are trying to rise. They may define you by a struggle you have already outgrown. This is why discernment matters. Strength is not in exposing every scar to every audience. Strength is knowing who has earned the right to hear your story. There are people who will sit with your pain gently. They will not rush you. They will not minimize your feelings. They will not use your honesty against you. Those are the spaces where vulnerability becomes healing. In those spaces, your weaknesses are not weapons, they are bridges to deeper connection. Guarding your weaknesses also protects your self-image. When you repeatedly speak about your fears in environments that do not nurture growth, those fears can begin to define you. You start to see yourself through the lens of limitation instead of possibility. But when you share selectively, you maintain control over your narrative. You allow yourself to grow beyond your struggles without being constantly reminded of who you used to be. There is a time to speak and a time to strengthen. Some battles must be fought quietly within your own spirit before they are discussed openly. Sometimes you need to build resilience privately, to develop confidence internally before presenting your journey to the world. Healing is not a performance, it is a process, and processes require safe conditions to thrive. Guarding your weaknesses does not mean hiding forever. It means protecting what is still healing. It means understanding that transparency without boundaries can become self-sabotage. When you choose wisely, vulnerability becomes empowerment instead of exposure. You are allowed to be human. You are allowed to struggle. But you are also allowed to protect your tender places until they are strong enough to stand without trembling. That protection is not fear, it is wisdom. Some struggles are not meant for public stages. They are meant for quiet rooms, for trusted conversations, for moments when the mask can gently fall without fear of judgment. When you are walking through a storm, you do not need an audience analyzing the rain. You need shelter, you need strength, you need space to understand what you are feeling without the pressure of explaining it to the world. There is a difference between sharing from a wound and sharing from a scar. A wound is still open. It is still sensitive. It can easily become infected by careless words, harsh opinions, or unsolicited advice. A scar, however, tells a story of healing. It speaks from experience, not from pain. Protecting your personal struggles means allowing your wounds the time they need to become scars. It means giving yourself permission to process privately before presenting your journey publicly. When you expose your struggles too soon, you may find yourself managing other people's reactions instead of managing your own healing. Some will offer sympathy that feels suffocating. Some will give advice that does not fit your reality. Some may even compare your pain to theirs, unintentionally minimizing what you are carrying. In trying to respond to everyone, you can lose touch with your own needs. Healing becomes performance instead of restoration. Privacy creates a safe container for growth. In that quiet space, you can be honest without defense. You can cry without explanation. You can question without being rushed toward answers. There is no timeline you must satisfy. There is no image you must maintain. You are simply allowed to be human, and that permission is powerful. Protecting your struggles also preserves your dignity. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your hardest chapters. Some people are curious, not compassionate. They want details, not depth. They listen to gather information, not to offer support. When you recognize this, you begin to understand that silence is not secrecy. It is self-respect. It is choosing peace over exposure. This does not mean you carry everything alone. Strength is not isolation. It means you choose your circle wisely. You confide in those who have proven their loyalty, their empathy, their discretion. You speak where your voice is valued, not where it is evaluated. In the right environment, your struggles become stepping stones instead of stumbling blocks. Over time, when you have grown through what once tried to break you, you may choose to share your story. And when you do, it will not be a cry for validation. It will be a testimony of resilience. It will inspire instead of seek reassurance. But until that moment comes, protect your process, guard your healing. Some transformations are too sacred to be rushed into the spotlight. There is a quiet kind of energy that surrounds a new goal. It feels fresh, electric, full of possibility. In the beginning, that energy is pure because it belongs only to you. It has not yet been shaped by opinions, applause, or doubt. But the moment you announce it too early, something shifts. The focus moves from doing the work to talking about the work. And slowly, without realizing it, your energy begins to scatter. When you speak your goals before you have taken consistent action, you may feel a temporary sense of accomplishment. The praise, the encouragement, the "I'm proud of you" responses can create an illusion of progress. Your mind absorbs that validation as if the work has already begun. But words are not results. Excitement is not discipline. And applause is not achievement. If you are not careful, you will start feeding on reactions instead of commitment. There is also a vulnerability in early announcements. The more people who know your goal, the more opinions you invite. Some will question your ability. Some will remind you of past failures. Others may subtly compete. Even positive pressure can become heavy. You may begin to feel watched, measured, expected to succeed on a timeline that is no longer your own. That pressure can transform passion into anxiety. Keeping your goals private at the beginning protects your focus. It allows you to build momentum quietly. Small steps taken consistently create confidence that is real, not borrowed from encouragement. When no one knows what you are working toward, your only responsibility is to your own integrity. You show up because you promised yourself, not because others are checking in. Silence also strengthens resilience. When obstacles appear, and they always do, you are free to adjust without embarrassment. You are free to fail, learn, and refine without public commentary. Growth is rarely smooth. There are setbacks, doubts, and course corrections. Privacy gives you the freedom to navigate those moments without feeling exposed. There is something powerful about letting people see the outcome without witnessing every preparation. When results arrive, they feel solid, undeniable. They are not supported by announcements, but by evidence. People respect what they can see more than what they are told. And you respect yourself more because you know the work was done in quiet determination. This does not mean you never share your goals. It means you share them when they are rooted in action, when discipline has already taken place, when your commitment is strong enough that outside opinions cannot shake it. Announcing too early can drain momentum, but building in silence multiplies it. Protect your goals while they are still forming. Let them mature in the privacy of effort. When they are ready, they will not need introduction. They will speak for themselves. Money has a voice in society, and whether we admit it or not, it changes the way people look at you. The moment your income becomes public knowledge, perceptions begin to shift. Some people will admire you, some will measure themselves against you, some will expect more from you than they ever did before. What was once simple can suddenly become complicated. That is why privacy around your finances is not about secrecy rooted in fear. It is about protecting your peace. When people know what you earn or what you own, assumptions follow. They may assume you can always pay, always provide, always rescue. They may believe your success came easily. They may overlook your discipline, your sacrifices, your sleepless nights. Instead of seeing your journey, they see a number. And numbers have a way of creating distance between hearts. Relationships that once felt equal can begin to feel strained by comparison or expectation. There is also the quiet presence of envy. Not everyone who smiles at your success celebrates it sincerely. Financial growth can unintentionally stir insecurity in others. Even good people can struggle with comparison. If they are not grounded, your progress may remind them of their own frustrations. And sometimes that discomfort shows up in subtle ways: backhanded compliments, unnecessary criticism, or silent withdrawal. Protecting your financial information shields you from dynamics that do not need to exist. Privacy allows generosity to remain pure. When no one knows the full extent of what you have, any help you offer comes from choice, not pressure. You give because you want to, not because it is expected. And when you choose not to give, you do not carry the burden of guilt shaped by assumptions about your capacity. Your finances remain a personal responsibility, not a public obligation. Keeping your wealth private also protects your focus. The more attention placed on what you have, the easier it is to become attached to maintaining an image. You may feel pressured to spend in ways that prove something, to upgrade not out of need, but out of expectation. But when your financial life is quiet, you are free to make decisions based on wisdom, not appearance. You invest thoughtfully, you save intentionally, you grow steadily without performance. True security is not loud. It does not need validation. It does not announce itself for approval. It moves quietly, builds patiently, and sustains consistently. When you protect your financial information, you protect your relationships from unnecessary tension. You protect your mindset from comparison. You protect your peace from intrusion. Wealth is not only about money, it is about stability, freedom, and dignity. And dignity thrives in discretion. Let your lifestyle reflect your discipline, but let your numbers remain your own. Peace is far more valuable than publicity. Family is a sacred space. It is the first place you learned love, the first place you felt correction, the first place you discovered who you were. Within those walls live stories that shaped you, some beautiful, some painful, all personal. Not everything that happens in that sacred space is meant for public discussion. When you expose family matters carelessly, you do more than share information. You open doors that cannot always be easily closed. Every family has imperfections. Disagreements happen, mistakes are made. Words are sometimes spoken in frustration. But conflict inside a home is different from conflict on display. When private matters become public conversations, they often lose context. Outsiders see fragments, not the full picture. They form judgments without understanding history, emotions, or intentions. What could have been resolved with time and communication can become magnified by outside opinions. There is also loyalty to consider. Even when family members are wrong, even when tensions are real, there is a certain dignity in handling those issues within the circle they belong. Broadcasting problems may bring temporary sympathy, but it can also create lasting division. Once others have formed negative views about someone close to you, those views are not easily erased. Long after forgiveness has taken place within the family, outsiders may still hold on to criticism. Protecting family matters does not mean tolerating abuse or staying silent about serious harm. There are moments when seeking help is necessary and wise, but there is a difference between reaching out for support and exposing intimate details for validation or attention. Wisdom lies in knowing the difference. Some situations require counsel from trusted, mature individuals, not public commentary from those who are merely curious. Privacy within a family builds trust. When people know that disagreements will not become gossip, they feel safer expressing themselves honestly. They are more willing to apologize, to grow, to be vulnerable. But when every mistake risks being shared beyond the home, walls begin to rise, conversations become guarded, authenticity fades. Silence about family matters, when rooted in protection and not fear, strengthens unity. There is also strength in maturity. As you grow, you begin to understand that every home carries both light and shadow. Comparing your family's struggles to the polished image of others only creates unnecessary dissatisfaction. Most of what you see outside is curated. Real life is more complex. Guarding your family's private moments allows healing to happen without performance. Sacred spaces deserve sacred protection. What happens within the circle of family should be handled with care, patience, and respect. Not every disagreement needs witnesses. Not every story needs retelling. When you choose discretion, you preserve dignity for yourself and for those connected to you. And dignity, once protected, becomes the foundation for stronger relationships and deeper peace. There comes a time in life when you no longer feel the need to explain who you are, what you are doing, or why you chose your path. That moment is powerful. It is the moment when confidence replaces doubt and action replaces argument. When you let results speak for you, you step out of the habit of defending yourself and step into the discipline of doing the work. Results are quiet, but they are undeniable. They do not argue. They do not persuade. They simply exist as evidence. Many people spend precious energy trying to convince others of their intentions. They explain their plans repeatedly, hoping for approval. They defend their decisions, seeking understanding. But constant explanation can drain focus. Every minute spent justifying is a minute not spent improving. When you shift your attention from words to work, your progress begins to compound. Growth becomes visible, not because you announced it, but because you committed to it. Letting results speak also builds credibility. When you consistently show improvement, reliability, and dedication, people begin to trust your actions. Trust does not come from promises. It comes from proof. Anyone can speak confidently, but not everyone can deliver consistently. When your outcomes align with your goals, your reputation strengthens naturally. You do not need to persuade others of your ability. Your performance does that quietly and effectively. There is also peace in this approach. When you stop trying to manage opinions, you free yourself from unnecessary pressure. Not everyone will understand your journey, and that is acceptable. Some will underestimate you. Others may doubt your timing. But when you focus on execution instead of explanation, you allow time to reveal the truth. Time has a remarkable way of correcting assumptions. It rewards patience and discipline. Results also protect you from distractions. When your priority is to demonstrate progress through action, you become selective about conversations. You invest your energy in learning, practicing, refining, and improving. You measure yourself against yesterday's version of you, not against public commentary. That internal standard creates steady advancement. Over time, the difference becomes visible without you needing to highlight it. There is humility in allowing outcomes to represent your effort. It shows that you are confident enough in your work that it does not require constant promotion. Excellence does not need noise. It stands firmly on its own. When your actions consistently reflect quality, integrity, and commitment, recognition tends to follow naturally. So move with intention, work with focus, improve with discipline, And trust that if you remain consistent, the results will introduce you more effectively than any explanation ever could. Let your achievements speak clearly, and let your progress tell the story of your dedication.